I think the people that I get to work with day in, day out, the culture from the top down. We're a God-fearing, God-honoring company. He has blessed us, and to work in a place like that day in, day out is truly, I think, an exception in our country. I wish we had more places like that.
So let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'll turn it over to the city manager to take us through the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. First item, as usual, the approval of the minutes of the meeting held last week. Comments? Questions?
Good.
Item number 2, first reading of the ordinance annexing about 2.5 acres. We looked at this prior when we set the schedule for doing so. Matt's last page prior to tab number 3. Got the lawful area. Anything changed from previous looks?
Nothing's changed. This is just the first reading. We'll have one more reading and we'll post a notice, and it'll be on its way to the state and feds. This is the short form, what we call it, property owner initiated annexation, so it's on a very strict time schedule.
Questions on ordinance 7370?
Notice the streets are in, so I guess it's good.
Streets are in, utilities are in, so for them to tie on, they need to be part of the city.
When the quarter lots work.
Yeah.
Item number 3, second and final on the rezoning at Hillside Terrace, the tract there immediately west of the elementary school.
Joey and James.
Any questions from the commission? Well, it's the Kelly show today, so we'll move to item number 4. Resolution amending the City of Amarillo's annexation policy. You have such attached. This is exactly what we discussed in 2 briefings and additional 3rd discussion that we had. This is not initiating an annexation. This is making the changes to the policy by which we will manage annexation going forward. This is the final one. Everybody is taking their PhD in planning and zoning management.
The timeline is really tight, and I'm glad it is. Once it's triggered, you've got to keep moving.
And you're truly now, in a very proactive manner, looking at decisions that have been made in the near future. Going back, I know, for a long time.
Just give your comments.
I would assume, I'll do whatever you would like me to do. I've got a very condensed little few slides to go over if you'd like me to.
I think that'd be really good.
I'd prefer to, briefly go over kind of what it is.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, the more information you get out there, what you're planning.
And do you have any comments from the public?
No, I don't.
Nothing. But you've had so many key people involved in this
We went through a lot of public meetings and a lot of discussion before we started talking about it here, and I really think that does help.
Can you talk about the process too in the meeting? Can you talk about it?
When the comp plan advisory committee started until we came to the commission was 12 months.
Not quite. But
It was very well vetted. How many times before through the meeting?
P's email at 4 times. The comprehensive plan advisory committee met on 4 times. So it's been discussed quite a bit. Garrett said this is just providing us this. It really is important to know this is not initiating an annexation. This is really just providing us the framework to, from this point forward, being a little bit more proactive, checking our current areas.
You see the list of everything you have to do after you do that. It's pretty impressive. Just when you got to do it, what it requires.
Well, I know we've been talking about it for 6 years, and I know you were talking about it a long time before that. So this is something that do it for a long time.
I very much appreciate y'all having the discussion and willing to consider. It's not overnight, but over the years it's developed into a potential issue for the city where none existed prior.
Well, it sure gives developers a better path to what they got to do. That's what they asked us for in this first meeting. How do you know what we're going to be marketing? So that's good.
It will sure be a help to us if we work on capital planning every year when we set up, 4 or 5-year plans.
Helps on our NPO stuff.
Helps us on our NPO stuff too. NPO stuff's been very favorable to the city for the last year or so.
They had a good meeting this morning in regards to that, how much money they're really going to deal with statewide to fix roads and do the same things we're talking about. Is they actually said in most cases out in the country, it's 7 times to rebuild a road. And they know with the traffic on them that they will be destroyed roads, have to rebuild them. So they're looking at it's billions of dollars difference. This is really going to people can afford it. By being taken care of it and maintaining it the way it is.
Yeah, the eastern side of the Panhandle is really taking a beating in terms of the road infrastructure. Of course, economic benefits are tremendous. But if you've been in and around Canadian, Miami, Wheeler, all the way up to Perryton, those roads are just really taking a beating.
They're talking about rebuilding them just the way they are, but making them thicker, a little wider, stronger shoulders because the structure just killing it.
And some of that stuff runs under an overweight permit too.
Good.
Okay, continuing our planning efforts, setting ourselves up for the future. Item number 5 is the resolution that would approve the 2012 Park Master Plan as you agreed upon last week. I think, Rod, did you pass out the sheet?
No, I didn't.
You've made the changes to the cover, and of course the documents now that we'll print to have available. We'll have that new cover in it.
Yeah, Park Commission for your request. It did plug in one other map that was attached. Give me some more. So I apologize for.
Any questions on your Park Master Plan? Thank you. And again, as we've discussed, we know that one of the absolute priorities is to re-engage the hike and bike portion of that and start moving it forward. As we said, moving that out of a Parks Commission towards the Traffic Commission, certainly with input from Parks, is how we think it goes. Should have printed it out now. I've read so many articles this morning, either Dallas or Austin. I think it was Dallas that's trying to move their bike plan into the shared lane concept, which is what Austin already has, and that is kind of stalled out in Dallas. It's turned into a bit of a squabble amongst the community. So,
Narrow-minded people.
I saw an interesting concept in Denver recently where they're not putting double stripes. They're putting one out there in the parked car and whatever else.
That's the shared lane concept.
Well, it didn't create such a problem for people parking. It was park and do whatever you want over there. Ride or walk or jog or whatever.
A lot of it is.
It's what?
What they do in Austin.
Looks pretty good to me. I mean, rather than having to make 2 stripes down there. Somebody trying to squeeze a car in or a dually truck or something. Every few feet somebody has to adapt.
Plus, we would not be giving up as much of your wonderful wide roads, streets.
It actually was the same amount. It just didn't require 2 stripes. I'm glad you're coming over, Jim.
You mean it was parking plus bike But the one,
And it was fine. I mean,
they're wasting so much of the road.
For public office.
for you to wander down the road, stay out of the way. Okay, let's go.
Mayor, if we could, let's move to the consent agenda now. Consent item A, kind of continuing the upgrades over at the police department. This is building security systems specifically for the 3rd and the 6th floors. And as y'all may recall, Commissioner Sims, Commissioner Reed probably will, we had done a major security system over there in years past. That system's not a supported system, and we're slowly converting that little large building to the system we're using everywhere else. So that's what this is. Item B, Fire Station 13, over my shoulder here, is a rendering. Now, it actually won't sit that close. Thank you, Kevin. Stand up for the podium.
Stand up.
Won't sit quite that close to 45th Street, but the trucks will come out onto 45th Street at a controlled lap that we'll be putting in. It's a very large station. It'll have 2 companies. If you'll remember the last 2 years, we've been adding a small number of firefighters. Coming forward into the following budget, we'll have to add 7, which would include a company officer. You've got bays for your 2 fire engines, one of which will be a ladder. Small bay is for a suburban. We will permanently base a district chief over there. The remaining bay is where the big heavy rescue truck will go. Today that's stored in one of the facilities downtown. And of course, one of the issues is you detach a group of firefighters from something, send them down to get the equipment, take the equipment to wherever you're going. It'll now be a place that's manned 24/7, and we'll have that. I think it will be very important. It has some features that have been designed into it and bid into it that will allow for some additional opportunity in the future. We're working with some other partners to talk about alternate locations for emergency operations center and communications backup. Try to start decentralizing some of that second layer of stuff, and I think the need for that was very, very clearly highlighted when we had the explosion at the Redbow. So we're trying not to forget that. And we haven't put it in there, but we've designed the capability into that one to be able to do some of that stuff if the time and the funding is right. Real proud, that's the last of your big construction projects from the 2007 seasons.
Jared, was this one, did we do the architectural in-house on this one?
We did.
Good for you.
Good, thank you.
Okay, what about
5 to 6, yes. $2 million job that starts to stand up. Very proud.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
This one will have a basement. One of the new ones that we built has a basement. 2 don't. This one will.
Is that for more than storage? What's it going to be in the basement?
Storage, equipment, probably some workout facilities, like we have in 11. There's so many more people that will work out of here. That's also a hub, kind of like you use the Central 47. But this will support the southwest side of town and all the way up to the medical center.
When's construction supposed to be complete?
It'll take every bit of a year to build it once we get it awarded, and depending on weather, maybe a little more. Okay. We appreciate y'all doing that. That's a good way to finish that out. Item C, sanitary sewer improvements. This is right out the window over here. I have a location map that I'm glad to get attached to your packet. You'll be able to see that. Commissioner Escajeda had asked us to begin putting in the dates. I think that was a great suggestion, although we don't know the dates when that was put in. It's old. Emmett was able to bracket it against some other projects. We don't exactly know. It's expensive, but of course it's going across the front of the Civic Center, and we've got to keep that open while we do this. We'll also have traffic control in a state highway. Most of our jobs are not done that way. We're glad to get to that. Certainly it accommodates some of our downtown projects that you heard about at lunch, and certainly it accommodates something that's over 90 years old.
And what is
Over
the
90 years old.
Right, yeah, sometime in the 20s.
Wow. What is the reason for the higher than estimate? 4.9.
It's largely that they've got to keep those drives open for the ADA access and trying to do the upgraded traffic control to get them work done. They'll actually be in the street doing this. And we want all this done, out of the way, wrapped up before we ever jump into the next part, because that's going to be even more disruptive.
Yeah.
Moving along, item D, terminal building escalators. This is the engineering portion of the project that the FAA has agreed to fund to replace the 4 escalators in the airport. That was, the one thing that was still original to the building when we opened the new stuff.
Will they run?
The new ones?
Will they, yes.
They'll not only run, they'll be under warranty, which I'm very much looking forward to.
That was a parts problem before in the past. Couldn't get parts. Had to make some of the parts or something.
They won't stock them. I mean, there's a few of them left, and there's really only one company that'll work on the escalators. You can get competitive bids on elevators. Escalators, and really, other than airports, you don't see new escalators anywhere.
There's 2 escalators in the front of the airport.
And then one to the right, one to the left.
One on each end.
They go down.
That's how you come down.
You don't see escalators.
Oh, okay.
In new construction,
Yeah, what they do instead.
elevators. With the exception of airports, the Bergstrom in Austin's a newer airport, and it's got those 2-story tall escalators in it.
People movers.
Yeah, even most of the people movers that are left don't even run anymore. The one at Love Field's rarely running down its entire length while I'm there.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is it a liability issue? Is that when they replace it on the airport?
I don't know exactly. I will tell you that in terms of slips and falls, 4 escalators out there are probably equal to everything else we have put together. It's usually because of something else. Their suitcase,
They trip.
kids.
Trying to do too much on it still.
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of the ones that we get are in those front 2. People are running in, they've got roller bags, and they have another bag that they're trying to jump on that escalator.
And the purse.
I wouldn't say that.
Your purse gets in the way. Jim's purse gets in the way all the time.
Okay. Recall that the FAA is like the other federal agencies. They operate on a continuing resolution. If that continues, this first phase would be a year long, not because it takes that long to design, but waiting for the money to trigger to come in for the actual construction. The progress is just not going to be quick.
Big piece of progress right there.
Thank you. Pat and his staff have worked really hard with FAA we looked at that when we first did the terminal project, and at the time that wasn't something they wanted to start, but they do now. We need to jump on it. Mayor, if we could, we have Mr. David Hudson here from SPS. I think he'd like to introduce somebody to us, and then we'll start talking about the conversation. Sure.
Okay, thank you. Sure. As you recall, Wallace Hill took a promotion earlier this summer, and he's now over all the distribution assets in the Texas Panhandle. So he has the 2 service centers here, Hereford, Dumas, Perryton, Borger, and Pampa. So I had to replace Wallace, okay, in community relations. So Brenda Holland is taking the position, so you'll be seeing her here. Many of y'all know Brenda. She's lived in Amarillo for quite a while. She's been working for SBS and Excel for, 28 years.
Maybe.
And she's been downtown all this time, so you may have seen her before. But so you'll be seeing her here. And actually, if you ever have an issue, a question, or problem from any of your constituents or from the city's perspective, feel free to call her, myself. You can even call Wallace because he'll be the one fixing it. and or call Riley. So I asked her to bring her business cards, so I just wanted to introduce her to you in person.
Have your cell on there.
It does. Thank you. It's already working. 3 o'clock in the morning, I might be downtown.
Possible you could be.
Thank you.
She handled that very adroitly. She turned and looked at David and said, well, Wallace could keep doing it.
Well, Wallace is still here.
He's just on the road.
Yeah, he's just on the road a lot. Dealing mainly with employee type issues.
And you just do the fun community statement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for your time. I just wanted to put a face with the new person. Okay, take care.
Thanks very much. Thanks for coming by.
Mayor, if we could, we ended up with a somewhat lengthy closed session list to cover. We do have some folks that will be asking many different times to visit with us, but with your permission, I'd like to ask that you call the closed session. And I'll give you a quick catch-up in a minute.